do you use a computer if you're blind? Hey guys, it's Diana. Welcome back to my channel, and today I want to talk about that. A lot of people on the internet don't realize that blind people can use computers. Typically when I tell somebody in a chat room or on a forum or something that I am visually impaired, which is not often because I don't want to be bombarded with questions, one of the first things they ask is, if you're blind, how can you be typing this? How do you use a computer? I never understood the typing thing because typically when you are taught how to type, like when you're young and in school or whatever, the end goal is for you to be able to do it without looking down at the keyboard at what you're typing. Now, I did not have that issue because I can't really see the keyboard unless my face is like right up against it. I'm in a unique situation. I talked about this in my last video where I explained my biggest pet peeve about sighted people, but I'm visually impaired, meaning that I can see. I have some residual vision. So I might use some sort of different assistive technology compared to other blind people. In terms of using the computer, there are a few different ways to go about that. One of them is with a screen reader, which is a piece of software that's usually hundreds of dollars, made by a third party, or you could use the built-in software. Windows has narrator, Mac has voiceover. This piece of software will tell you what is on the screen. It's like text to speech basically. It goes as far as telling you what icon you're hovering over on the desktop, that your cursor's in the address bar when you're in Chrome or Safari, what email you're looking at, the contents of that email, messages coming in from chat. It does not read images. That would be alt text. I've talked about alt text and I've demonstrated voiceover for iPhone a little bit in those videos, at least in my Instagram one. Those will be linked down below. I did a demo on how to add alt text to Twitter on desktop and how to add alt text to Instagram for iOS. Android is the same thing, I believe. A lot of people just think that for some reason, because we can't see, that we can't use a computer or that we're like totally technologically inept, which is 100% not true. I know a lot of blind people who are more tech savvy than 90% of the sighted people that I know. And that's because we have to figure out how to get around things and how to make things work, probably a little more intricately than your average person. A person who's completely blind can't just boot up a computer and start using it right away. Typically they need another piece of software like this screen reader that I talked about. There's narrator, voiceover, JAWS, NVDA. NVDA is an open source software that's free, I believe. JAWS is license-based. It's hundreds of dollars. I can't remember the exact price. There's also a screen magnification option for people with low vision. The most commonly used one is ZoomText. ZoomText also is a license-based software. It costs hundreds of dollars to be able to use it, but it has the ability to also engage their own screen reader, so you can have magnification and screen reading on at the same time. I don't think it works exactly like something such as JAWS or narrator or voiceover. There are a few things I think that it leaves out. It's not as descriptive, for lack of a better term, when you are using it. I could be wrong. I've not used ZoomText in a long time. The regular free options are Magnifier for Windows and Zoom for Mac, not to be confused with the video conferencing software. Zoom for Mac and Magnifier for Windows do not, to my knowledge, have a screen reader option. You would have to enable voiceover and Zoom at the same time, for example, on Mac, and narrator and magnifier at the same time on Windows. I could be wrong. If somebody who uses magnifier more down in the comments, let me know. I'm a Mac user, so I use Zoom. The screen magnification, you can magnify your screen as big as you want. The bigger that you make the content on your screen, the less that's showing in your screen's surface area. So sometimes it might be a little tricky, take you a few minutes to try and find something if you're using it. But then you're not holding your computer like right at your face. You're not leaning right in, looking at the text or looking at an image or something on your computer when you can just blow it up with magnification software. These pieces of technology are not really well known outside of the blind community. I worked as a data entry specialist in an office setting at one point, meaning that I had to use the office computer to do my job. It was a PC, and in order for me to be able to do my job well, I needed to have the IT person come in and enable Windows Magnifier because I was not an administrator on the machine, obviously, and I could not enable the program myself. This process took about a half hour. They got it running, but it wasn't magnifying the whole screen. It was only magnifying a portion of it. The IT person did not know what they were doing because they were not trained in the assistive technology, and I didn't know what they were doing because I'm more of a Mac user. I really don't use PCs. I don't own a PC. So I had to Google on my phone how to enable full screen magnification for Windows Magnifier, which then made the IT person have to do 2 or 3 more steps in order order for it to work. And unfortunately, that took away from my time to be able to do my job correctly. This was the first day. Stories like that are not uncommon. I feel like that a lot of people who get their degrees in IT who are sighted don't really learn that much about accessibility, or if they do, there's like an elective course or just a small unit that glosses over it. I could be wrong. I know somebody very close to me who is an IT person and they're visually impaired, and a lot of people in the field are not really aware of the particular assistive tech that blind people have to use in order to get their jobs done. A lot of the software is also not accessible with things like JAWS or VoiceOver. Discord, for example, is not that accessible. They weren't for the longest time. They may have changed things, but because I don't really use VoiceOver, I use Zoom, I can't speak to that. A lot of the times companies and websites don't take accessibility into consideration when designing their product or their platform, and it's really unfortunate. However, a lot of blind people really do use technology on the daily. We have computers, we have smartphones, some of us have smartwatches, we have tablets, and it really stinks that there's a lot of web infrastructure out there that's not really built to be able to accommodate the user base with disabilities. Things have gotten better in terms of accessibility with the accessibility standards that websites have to adhere to, but still there are social media platforms and a few places here and there out on the web that don't, or they might update something and break a bunch of things with VoiceOver on the iPhone, if you have an app update, for example. So basically what I'm trying to drive home is that blind people use computers. They can do this of one of two ways, with a screen magnifier or a screen reader. And they can either use the ones that are built into the system, or they can use the ones that you have to pay for. In terms of a screen reader, the navigation around the screen is with your keyboard. It's with keyboard shortcuts. You don't move your mouse, you don't use your cursor. I think that you can probably do a little bit of that with JAWS. I know that there is such a thing as a JAWS cursor. I'm not 100% sure what that means. I used JAWS a very, very long time ago, and I did have training in it, and I knew how to use it at that point, but I've not used it in many years since I switched over to Mac. In terms of screen magnification software, you can use both a combination of keyboard shortcuts to navigate around your screen, as well as just moving your cursor. There are also preferences in Zoom Text, for example, that allow you to change the color and size of your cursor. I remember when I used Zoom Text when I was in school, like very young, like middle elementary, I made the cursor pink because I could, because I thought it was cool and I could see it easy because it was a good contrasting color. I don't think that that is an option on Mac with Zoom or with any of their settings, and I don't think it's the same with Windows. I could be wrong, but I mean, I've not seen anything like that to change the color. I mean, you can change the size of your cursor on Mac, but you can't change the color of it, at least not that I'm aware. So that's that. That's basically how blind people use computers. If you have any questions down below, feel free to leave a comment. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.